Hit the wrong button. Welcome to the Rob Bro Show. I'm Rob Bro. I am the host. You are the co-host. You can co-host today by commenting on the starting line chat line. Starting line chat line brought to you by the Starting Line Counseling. StartingLineCounseling.com. Free 15-minute consultation today at the website, StartingLineCounseling.com. Chase, two-time graduate from Texas Tech.
Two-time.
Taken care of. We're still awaiting some big news from Chase, by the way.
Yes, we are.
But when he's
going to break it on here.
He will be on the show to break.
Yeah.
We're also in the Diversified Lenders studio. Welcome in. Carson, how you doing?
Great, man. Great.
It was a huge weekend. Not necessarily like monumental, but just a lot of stuff happened. Of course, I was in Houston, so maybe it felt like more, but 3 baseball games, a couple of basketball games with the men and women. By the way, the women, they're
on a slide.
They're hurt.
Yeah.
But they got to 5 wins in the Big 12 play, and they're bad right now.
Yeah, it's sliding a little bit.
Baylor touched them up this weekend. Of course, on Brittany Griner Day, what was going to happen?
Yeah, Baylor's very athletic.
Anyways, we don't need to discuss the downfall there of Coach Gerlich so far. By the way, that sounded bad. I still think she's the woman for the job. I really do. I like Coach Gerlich.
I agree.
I think they've been recruiting well still in the doldrums here, but they need some pieces. They need some pieces for sure, and they need to be healthy. They've not been healthy in the last 2 years, and they still went to the NIT last year. They have a chance to go to the NIT this year. They can still outdo their season last year if they win a couple of Big 12 games down the stretch. But you got to win. You got to win. I think they need 2 or 3 more wins to be better in Big 12 play than last year. But it doesn't feel like they had a stretch like this last year that was that bad.
Yeah, it's been a tough stretch, that's for sure. There's only one way to go from there, though, Rob.
That's true. All right, the Red Raiders in the mix this weekend as well. We had softball games too. Softball.
Yeah, you had softball. Was it Texas State? Yeah.
Let's talk about the basketball team at Iowa State. Just a rugged start. A rugged first 30 minutes. You sucked the first 30 minutes of that game.
That's fair.
And then you outscored them by 12 to finish the game, and you lose by 8. So that's how you played.
Well, and
if really good the last 10 minutes, but it didn't matter.
Yeah. If you would have told me that Warren Washington wasn't going to start and then wasn't going to play at all, I would have said you're going to have a tough day. You're going to get beat by at least 15, maybe 20 in Ames. Iowa State may be playing the best basketball in the country right now, to be honest with you. Iowa State's very good right now. They've started to figure out some things with their lineups, with who the best 5 out on the floor are at any given time. I think that Iowa State, they're a top 10 team, but Purdue loses at Ohio State yesterday or Saturday, whichever day it was, which is weird. Ohio State had won like 2 conference games all year. They fired their coach last week. They have an interim head coach. Purdue, you can't say Purdue's playing the best. They lost against a bad team. And Iowa State has just been beating everybody that stepped in front of them the last few times. And they're very, very good at Hilton Coliseum. I mean, nobody's touched them at Hilton this year. They're undefeated at home. They're undefeated at home for a reason. It's a very hard place to play. And whenever you go in there and you're not healthy and you play 7 guys, and of those 7 guys, 2 of them have not played a ton of minutes. I mean, I thought Robert Jennings gave you a good 28 minutes the other day. He only had 5 rebounds. He could have been better there, but he scores in double figures. So I thought that Robert Jennings, for having to make that spot start, he's making some progress. Let's put it that way. With where he needs to be. He's not quite where he needed to be, where they wanted him to be, but and obviously his role has grown since Cambridge went out. So he just needs to continue to be better, especially as this team heads into the NCAA tournament, because they are going to be in the NCAA tournament with a couple more wins that just pretty much assures them an NCAA tournament berth. But yeah, it's one of those deals where you don't feel like you went in there. Now, the team probably expects to win. Obviously, you try to win every single game, But as a fan base, as a college basketball, just
Yeah.
stepping back and looking at it, Texas Tech was not going to win that basketball game. Iowa State was the better team.
Yeah.
Texas Tech didn't have one of their main weapons, which is their big guy in the middle. Warren Washington makes a big difference.
I'll contend that the team didn't think they were going to win that game because they didn't
That's fair.
it didn't look like it in the first half.
I agree. Yeah.
They came on late, but they didn't show up prepared, it seemed like. And this is the first game of the gas era that I really thought that. They just looked slow early. And maybe
Pop was 0 of 7 from 3 too.
Maybe that's just because Iowa State was so much better. Well, Chance McMillan was 0 for 6.
Yeah,
you can't go 0 for 13 with two of your better 3-point.
Your two better shooters. Yeah, I mean, Kerwin Walton was 3 of 8. Joe Toussaint was 3 of 4. But
Walton's the best.
Yeah, Kerwin's the best shooter. Is he still the best percentage-wise in the country right now?
In the Big 12, I think, not in the country. I think he's third or fourth in the country. I'd have to.
But yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Iowa State is just a better basketball team than you. Probably if Warren Washington's there, they're still a better basketball team than you as of right now. But to lose by less than double digits in Ames without your best roster being able to put it on the floor, I'll take that as like a moral victory, right? Like you can leave Ames thinking, hey, man, we weren't Kansas and didn't go to Lubbock and get beat by almost 30. Like they could have very easily been that. Texas Tech could have very easily done what Kansas did the other night and just got drubbed.
I'm in the Big 12. I said this last night on the Gauchos with Mainville. I'm pass fail.
That's fair.
Did you win? Yeah. Did you lose?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter who wins by 20 or 30 or loses by 20 or 30. Did you win or lose? You move on. And that's what I'm doing to Iowa State. Next up is TCU, which is a huge game. You lost to them in Fort Worth. It's a bad matchup for Texas Tech, in my opinion, especially if Warren Washington's out. TCU's a more athletic team. They're more athletic than most of the teams in the Big 12, but they're beatable. And if Jameer Nelson Jr. doesn't have a miracle 3-point chest pass from 10 feet behind the line, they don't win this weekend. And it's a whole new looking ball game for TCU. But I think they're still in the mix here for everything Texas Tech is in the mix for. So it's a huge game on Tuesday night. Also, Monday night, Big Monday, is absolutely massive. Iowa State, Houston.
Yeah, and that's for the Big 12 lead. I mean, you're talking about the best two teams in the conference right now.
That might be for the Big 12 championship. I don't know if anybody else can come back with the way those two teams are playing.
Iowa State's on a 8-game heater right now, right? With the win over Texas Tech, 8 games in a row.
Feels like it. They're just they're good. That might be the best team in the Big 12.
They've won 4 in a row. It feels like they've won 8 in a row. They've won 4 in a row.
All right. Also this weekend, unless you have some final thoughts on basketball.
No, I'm going to be tuning into the Big Monday. Well, after the softball games tonight.
Big Monday and then Tuesday.
Yeah.
All right. Also this weekend, Texas Tech baseball. I got to listen to the whole first game, Tennessee. I checked in with the second game in between wrestling matches. My nephew was wrestling for state championship this weekend. And then I listened to the third one all the way home. So I took in a lot of baseball, but I didn't get to watch a lot of baseball. Blake says 4 in a row in this conference might as well be 8. Yeah, you can double them.
Yeah, that's a good point, Blake. That's a very valid point.
But I did get to hear a lot. I would have loved to have watched all 3 of these games. Are the next 2 in Globe Life on Flow Sports too? What did we decide that?
I don't think they're on anything, to be honest with you. I have no idea.
How do those Rangers not have capability to?
It just says radio. It doesn't say any TV.
So that's Tuesday and Wednesday. You got 2 more, but let's pull. Well, one more comment. Iowa State reminds me of the 2019 Red Raiders. I said that actually last night on the Gauchos.
Yeah.
As good as they are defensively, I mean, elite defensively, just like Texas Tech was, and beyond their point guard, they're taller and longer than everybody else at most positions. I mean,
and they're older.
They go 6'7", 6'7", 6'8", 6'10", and from 2 to 5. And it's like, okay, like, what are you doing with that? So
and they have a ton of experience too. Like they got a bunch of weathered dudes on that team.
Yeah. And a great freshman in Momcilovic.
Yep. Yeah. And I really do think Iowa State could be a Final Four contender. I think Iowa State is that good.
Yeah, I think so too. All right, baseball. So I'm saying I got to listen to a lot of it. I didn't get to watch any of it. Carson, what did you take in this weekend? And what do you feel loss to Tennessee, win against Nebraska, win against Oregon does for the team moving forward? By the way, this is your best showing in Arlington yet.
Yes, and it's the exact showing that we predicted on Wednesday of last week. I said 2-1. You lose to Tennessee, you beat Nebraska and Oregon. Um, Tennessee, listen, the guy you lost to on Friday night is probably one of the top 3 or 4 pitchers in the SEC when it comes down to Friday night guys. By the end of the year, the 2 guys that you saw, they're both Tennessee's top 2 arm. I mean, you saw their best arm out of the starting rotation, their best arm out of the bullpen is who you saw on Friday night. So that was going to be really tough, regardless of what happened with anything else. I mean, and then you go to Texas Tech's pitching. I thought Kyle Robinson threw pretty well, other than one pitch that he wants back on the home run that got hit off of him. I thought Robinson was good. He was in the strike zone quite a bit. He did walk a couple, but it's things that you can build on. Really, really excited about TJ Pompey. Like, that kid can absolutely go.
Yeah.
We
His
talked
first
about
hit
it.
was a multi RBI triple. The second hit was a
Yeah,
multi RBI double. I mean,
right.
hello, TJ
Yeah.
Pompey.
The kid just looks like a ball player. Like, he's 6'4". He's a sturdy young man, and he looks like the prototypical shortstop that's going to be drafted very high when he is done playing collegiate baseball. Like, that's just what TJ Pompey looks like. And if he continues to hit the ball this way, Pompey is going to be one of the best shortstops we've ever seen, probably at Texas Tech. We won't see him for very long, so you better get it while you can, because I think he will be a draft eligible sophomore next year, if I'm not mistaken. So he may only get 2 years on the South Plains. But yeah, I thought your pitching was okay, especially night 1. I thought the bullpen showed really well in the last couple games. And then I think that this lineup is going to be tough. I mean, you're talking about Gavin Cash and Bazell, both having one hit apiece on the weekend.
Yeah, Cash hit the RBI single.
Yeah,
and then Bazell, I think, did he hit a double on his first? No, he hit a single on his first at bat and stole.
yes.
But I don't think he was. I don't think he had another. Well, no, Bazell. Bazell had 4 hits on the weekend.
No, I'm thinking of Owen Washburn, maybe. No,
Uh,
because Washburn had 2 hits in the Tennessee game.
Gage Harrelson.
Gage Harrelson, thank you.
He
I
didn't
knew it was one of the
He didn't get a
comebackers.
hit, but he got a run.
Yeah, and then Cade McGee struggled a little bit at the plate too, but he looks like he's going to be a good part of the offense. I mean, here's the thing: you faced really, like I said, really, really good pitching on Friday night. Nebraska's number 2 yet on Saturday, and then yesterday, Oregon had a tough time with Texas Tech in the second inning. That was a fun inning. If you were paying attention during the second inning, just smoking balls everywhere was Texas Tech's offense.
And McGee, I just want to say, didn't get a hit, I don't think, but was on base. And maybe due to an error, he didn't get a hit, but he had an RBI. I think he walked in a run, maybe, and then scored 4 times. So he was on base.
Yeah.
He just didn't get a hit. And then Drew Woodcock's only starting 1 game, only playing 1 game, was 2 for 3. I think the star of the weekend, though, has to be Damian Bravo.
Yeah, I agree.
Especially against Oregon. I think he had 3 doubles, but had 5 hits on the weekend and 10 at bats. He's hitting 500 now. That dips and flows. Also had 2 walks, only struck out once. On base percentage of .583 through 3 games. Only better was Drew Woodcock. He only played 1 game though. I mean that's if he can play well. I'm not saying he's going to hit 500 all year, but if he can play well and Cash and Harrelson get back to what they were last year, which I obviously think they will.
Yeah.
Pompey is what he is. Right now.
Owen Washburn looked good in his first 3 games back.
Yeah, right now, lineup-wise, I'm more confident in this team than I was last year. Early.
Yeah.
And most of it's because I know what Harrelson is now. I know what Cash is now. I know what Austin Green is after watching those three guys for a full season.
Austin had a good couple days too.
So you're really excited. And Tracer Lopez didn't look great at the plate, but hit a home run, had another hits, and if he can find some power, you'll be pretty excited about that.
Especially at the bottom of that order, because he went 2 for, I think he had 2 hits on the weekend. One of them was a bomb. So, if you're going to get 2 hits on a weekend, at least make sure you park one of them.
And I want to say this. Obviously, I didn't watch, and I was trying to infer what the radio guys were saying because they're nice. It just didn't look like Tracer Lopez, sound like Tracer Lopez didn't have a great approach at the plate, was swinging a lot of balls or taking a lot of balls.
That's a good way to put it.
And then Bazell, I want to talk about Bazell a little bit and his approach in front of the plate. Blake Edwards says Bazell behind the plate is chef's kiss. I would love to watch him framing balls and whatnot. I obviously didn't get to see that either, but I will say this about his approach beside the plate as he's hitting. He's got to chill out.
He's a free swinger, man.
No. He's got to chill out. He watches a lot of third strikes, and then fair. He doesn't think they're third strikes, so he chirps at the umpire. And it's like, brother, you got to
go back there and sit with the guy. Yeah.
You can't. Yeah. When he was at third base last year, he can scream and yell and do whatever he wants. I think he got tossed in a game. He can do whatever he wants at third base within reason to not get tossed. But at catcher, you can't be an a-hole to the umpire. You got to live with that guy.
He struck out 5 times on the weekend. So,
yeah.
I think 2 of them were looking.
A lot of it's swinging. A lot of it's taking that third strike. And I think that was at Tennessee. Of course, you had 17 strikeouts.
17 strike. Yeah, AJ Kazi and AJ what's the other AJ's name? Kazi was the guy who ended up getting the win out of the bullpen. Yeah. But both of those guys are very, very good. Tennessee, Blake said he thinks Nebraska and Oregon finish in the top half of the conference. Solid weekend for RP. I agree. I think Oregon, they were picked 4th in the Pac-12 coming into the season. Obviously, with UCLA and Stanford, Oregon State is the number 1 team out of that conference. They were picked number 1 in the Pac-12. You're going to see them on the midweeks. So, Texas Tech's playing a tough RPI non-conference. I mean, you have these games, and then you go to Arkansas in the middle of the week in a couple weeks. That's going to be a fun one at Baum. I hope Mason Molina throws, and I hope that you just tack it on him.
Yeah.
That's the hope. But and then Tennessee, I think Tennessee is going to finish in the top half of the SEC. Obviously, the SEC is the best baseball conference in the country. It always pretty much has been, just with the raw talent just in their backyards here in the South. But I just, Tennessee is going to be very good. Will they win the SEC? I don't know, but they have one of the best pitching staffs in the SEC, and that's credit to Frank Anderson and what he does with a pitching staff and all of those things. Now, Nebraska's pitching staff is pretty solid as well. Rob Walton's the pitching coach at Nebraska. We know how good Oklahoma State was when Rob Walton was around at Oklahoma State. Yep. He'll do the same thing in Nebraska. He's a great recruiter. We know what he did at Oral Roberts too. He's the one who kind of put Oral Roberts baseball on the map a little bit when he was the head coach at Oral Roberts, making regional appearance after regional appearance. And obviously they cracked the ceiling last year and get to the College World Series. But I think college baseball now is probably in a better place than it ever has been, as far as everybody has dudes now. Like, there's a lot of guys, and I think it has a lot to do with the Major League Baseball draft, the way it is and has changed. I think a bunch of these guys that would have gone in the 38th round, which you don't have anymore in the Major League Baseball draft, they're no longer going to major league clubs. They're no longer going to extended spring. They're not going straight to their pro careers. TJ Pompey is a perfect example of that. Like, he's a guy that would not have come to college 5 years ago. Right. He just wouldn't have. He wouldn't have shown up on campus. And now he is. And I think he's going to be one of the best shortstops in the Big 12 this year. Maybe not the best, but one of the best, especially at the plate. He does some good things with the bat, man. I just am really excited about him, and he's really good with the glove. But what he can do for your lineup is even better.
I'm really excited to see him hit it dead long.
Yeah, me too.
Bravo too.
Especially with the way the wind blows.
I think Bravo's going to mash.
Yeah,
I think
this might be one of the best power hitting lineups that you've had in quite some time. Like I go back to the teams with Tanner Gardner and guys like that. Michael Davis was your second baseman. He probably hit 9 or 10 home runs that year. Orlando Garcia could rake, and so you had Hargrove at third base or first base, whichever one it was. He was a Big 12 Player of the Year that year, I believe. So. This team's going to be right up there offensively. I think you're going to be just fine. It's going to be getting continuity from your pitching staff. You've got to be good on Friday nights, and I think Kyle Robinson is still your guy, the Friday night guy. Petty struggled a little bit, but I think that you figure it out. It's weekend number 1. There's not a whole lot you can really take from this weekend other than you figured out a way to go 2-1. That's a great weekend right there in this tournament. Nebraska and Oregon are both very good quality baseball teams.
Yeah.
And losing to Tennessee ain't that big of a deal because they're a good team. And you lost to 2 really good arms, 2 guys that are going to be very, very wealthy when they get to into their pro careers.
Yeah, that's the truth. And again, you look at it. Last year, we said it all year long that if you keep a lot of these guys together, you're going to be way better next year even than you were this year. Now, you have that in mind with Mason Molina starting games, with Brendan Girton returning. Girton had his debut with Oklahoma this weekend. Mason Molina and Hudson White
really well.
Debuted with Arkansas in a loss to James Madison. You hate to see that. You don't really hate it, but you like to say you hate it just to make people feel better. Otherwise, I mean, I feel pretty good about this team moving forward.
Yeah.
And we haven't really talked about the pitching yet. Did you see Don Williams ask Tim Tadlock about Max Huffling?
Yeah.
He said, "What did you think when you saw Max Huffling in the portal?" Tadlock deadpans, call him.
Call him.
Yeah.
Call him.
Obviously call him. I mean, that is exactly what you need to do. Call that guy. He's 6'9", a maniac, and wants to kill the other team. He did it to Texas Tech after a rain delay. Nearly threw a no-hitter until he got touched up a little bit after 4 or 5 innings. So, or he pitched before the no-hitter. I mean, he pitched before the rain.
Yeah, he pitched before the rain delay. Yeah, he threw 3 innings this weekend and had 7 strikeouts.
Yeah.
For those that don't know, 3 innings you can only get 9 outs.
Yeah.
7 of his 9 outs were strikeouts. He gave up 1 run. It's pretty good against the offenses that you faced.
Roy says we had 91 homers last year. Thoughts on over under on that?
Over. I'm gonna take the over.
Hold on. Can Cash hit damn near 30 again? Because that was a big part of it.
I think he'll hit 20.
Yeah.
Dude's going to run into balls. I mean, he has that swing. It just lifts. He's got one of those Ken Griffey Jr. kind of left-handed lift the ball in the air. Good things are going to happen swings. Bazell's going to hit a few too.
Let's just go through. I think Poppy hits more than the 2 shortstops last year.
Agree.
I think Bravo hits more than Nolan Hester. No offense to Nolan Hester. He just wasn't a home run threat.
Yeah.
I think you get more home run production out of Austin Green in right field.
And from Washburn in the designated hitter or left field role. Yeah.
Bazell at catcher.
McGee's going to hit a few at third base.
All right, yeah, I'll go over.
Yeah.
I mean, if Tracer Lopez can keep up at second, he already has 1. And that's at Globe Life, not an easy place to hit home run.
The ball flies out to right field at Dan Law. Like we just know, the jet stream flies out to right field at the Law.
I'm down. I'm down.
I'd take the over. Yeah.
Any other
Yeah,
pitchers
I
you
mean,
want to highlight? We talked about Kyle Robinson, Josh
yeah,
Sanders.
Mac Hewer and Josh Sanders were really good this weekend out of the pen.
Yeah. Well, beyond maybe an inning from Josh Sanders.
Yeah, right, from one inning from Josh. But I don't look at the ERAs for relievers, because sometimes as a reliever, if you give up 1 run in 3 innings, obviously your ERA is going to balloon a little bit. I look at the WHIP. Mac Hewer's WHIP is 1.50. Sanders's was 0.90. That's
Wow.
0.90 walks, hits per innings pitched. That's a really good WHIP for a relief pitcher, because you don't want to walk anybody. And if you're giving up less hits, that's a really good sign. Kyle Robinson's at 1.64 for a starter. That's pretty solid. Even though they didn't throw a ton of innings, Brendan Lysick was good. Isaiah Rhodes was good. They didn't give up any walks or hits. They're both at zeros. So, in their short outings, I think Lysick went 2 1/3 or 2/3 of an inning, and Rhodes won an inning. But still, that's good signs for what you're getting from your bullpen. You just gotta continue to get good things from your bullpen, and you'll find the guys that are steady out of the pen as we move along here in the season. And we've talked about it, and this is a perfect example of guys that didn't pitch well early in the year became big parts later in the year because they just figured it out, and then guys that pitched okay early in the year ended up not being even a part of it late in the year. So it all happens. I've been there, done that. I was really good at the beginning of a year, 1 year, and then for some reason I lost the strike zone and I didn't pitch a whole lot after that. So, you give up 3 runs in one game because you can't throw a strike. That you're probably not going to get a whole lot of opportunities after that. So they'll figure out their guys out of the bullpen. I think you've got really good left-handed arms to bring out of that bullpen. Lysick being one of them, Huffling being another one. So I really like where this team is headed. I like what you have, and I like what you saw this weekend. I really, really do. And I just can't get over how good TJ Pompey looked at shortstop. He looks like a big leaguer.
He does. Yeah, he's 6'4".
He just is. He's every bit the part.
Yeah. All right. Last bit of business here, I think, in the baseball world is a philosophical thing that Tim Tadlock does. Every once in a while, he doesn't do it all the time. Brendan Lysick against Tennessee gave up 2 hits and he pulled him without getting any outs.
Yeah.
But then an inning and a half later, or 2 innings later, after Josh Sanders puts old Jacob Rogers in.
Mm-hmm.
3 walks.
Didn't have a good outing. Yeah.
But you're thinking, if you're walking and hitting so much, why is he throwing to more than 6 batters? This is just Tim Tadlock.
Yeah.
He will, early in the season, especially, he will leave a guy out there to figure it out. Because you know what Jacob Rogers is going to have to do? Hopefully, pitch in a regional.
Yep.
And that big,
he's going to have to come up big and late in the conference series.
And if you're on day 4 of a regional and don't have any pitching left, Jacob Rogers is going to have to figure it out.
Yep.
Now, Rogers is a guy who I was high on last year, was really good once through an inning or once through a lineup as a starter a couple of times, a spot starter.
Yeah.
Was not great the second and third time through a lineup. But he has the stuff. He's got electric stuff.
He's got life. He's got a great life to his fastball. I mean, he can throw in the mid 90s with the fastball. His breaking stuff needs to get better. He's got to throw that more for strikes, because if all you're throwing is fastballs for strikes, and even that wasn't well commanded the other day against a good hitting team like Tennessee, you're going to be in a lot of trouble, because if they just are sitting dead red and you're throwing 94, 95, it doesn't matter, because college baseball hitters see 94, 95 every single day now.
Right.
It's not like what it used to be in the 90s, where you only saw a few guys throwing in the 90s, or the early 2000s, where the guys that threw in the 90s were being drafted and never coming to a 4-year institution. Now you've got guys in college baseball that are throwing 95 to 100, just like you have in the big leagues. So college baseball hitters are, I think, more advanced now than they ever have been. So you've really got to have good stuff. You've got to have good command of your stuff. And if you can't spin it well, then you're not going to be a pitcher for very long, especially in these good conferences. So, and against good teams. And you take Tennessee, and then you look at what Brendan Gurton did the next day against them. He struck out 9 and 4 1/3. He came out because of a pitch count. He eclipsed his pitch count for early in the year, so he comes out after 4 1/3. Threw really well. Gave up 1 run, I think, against Tennessee. But I talked to him after his performance, and he's one of those guys that he needed to command better. Right? Last year he wasn't good. He was out of the strike zone too much. And that's what, this year he's got to focus on just pounding the strike zone. And although it stinks that he's doing it at Oklahoma, he just wasn't going to do that here at Texas Tech. He needed a new outlook on things and a new place. But Brendan threw well against Oklahoma, and that just goes to show, like, if you're a dude who has good stuff and you pound the strike zone, good things happen. If you got good stuff and you can't throw for strikes, it doesn't matter how good your stuff is. Nobody's going to swing at it, and you're going to walk the ballpark. So, it's a tough time to be a pitcher in college baseball because college baseball hitters are just so advanced now. That's why you're seeing a bunch of college guys get drafted way up high in the draft, and they're going straight through to AA and AAA. They're not even really stopping at single A.
Yeah.
I mean, you're seeing how fast Josh Young came up. If he would have come up even quicker without injuries in the minor leagues, Jace Young is going to be in AAA, probably in the big leagues before the midway point of this year.
Yeah. Well, there's like you said, just less levels.
Yeah.
I mean, used to before COVID, you had to go through 6 or 7 levels of baseball.
Yeah.
It was
rookie ball, low A, high A, yeah,
A plus,
yeah,
and you had AA, AAA.
Yeah.
Now you have the Arizona League still, but then it's basically,
and that's even bigger for guys.
I mean, it's probably AA, AAA now. A lot of teams just have the high
There's
level.
Just one single A level now.
So at most, and not even everybody has 4, but at most, I think people have 4 levels. And so that's different than
everybody has 4. Yeah.
17 A-ball affiliates.
Yeah. And now you still have the rookie ball, which is they stay in the spring training homes and play. Yeah. Like the Fort Myers Miracle are playing the Port St. Lucie Mets, right? Like that's Minnesota Twins and right. Those guys, those are the rookie teams, but they don't have
all in Arizona.
They have low A, high A, and all that stuff. And then the Arizona and Florida leagues, Florida Gulf Coast, and then the Arizona Fall League, which has been a huge difference for guys that are just coming out of college and they play in the Arizona Fall League, then they're getting major league spring training invites. So it makes a big difference now. I think scouts are putting a lot more say on good college hitting versus high school hitters that they have to develop for years. Good college hitters and good college players like a TJ Pompey, he probably is improving his draft stock by not going as a high school player and having to be developed. He probably will get to the big leagues just as quick, if not quicker, out of college than he would have had he gone after high school.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because the pitching and everybody else, just everything about college baseball is better now than it has been in the last, I don't know how many years.
Well, philosophically, college baseball is a minor league system now. It used to not be. People tried to get to the pro ball as fast as possible.
Yeah. I mean, look at Ben Joyce.
With NIL and everything else, would you rather ride on a bus for a year or 2 in the minors and make as much money at the back end of the draft as you would in college baseball?
And I'll tell you this, you're probably making more as an NIL player than the $1,500 they're paying you in single A, and you're riding on those crappy buses. Trust me.
Yeah.
It ain't fun. It's a grind, and you have to love this game to love playing single A baseball for just 1 year. Like it's rough. But yeah, and Roy said Tennessee had that guy last year, the year before, throwing 105. Yeah, 2 years ago, Ben Joyce. He's now pitching for the Los Angeles Angels. He skipped right on through. He got drafted out of Tennessee the year they went to the World Series. No, the year they lost to Notre Dame, I believe, in the Super Regional. And Notre Dame went to the World Series. Ben Joyce got drafted, and he spent like half the season in AAA, and then last year he was up in the big leagues in the third week of the season, throwing 106-mile-an-hour fastballs at guys. So that's another example of a guy who, and obviously when you throw 105, you're probably going to get picked up pretty quickly because it's just hard to come by. But yeah, and look at what Brandon Birdie, he went from single A, spent like 2 starts in double A, and then he got pulled up. So, and Birdie's got a chance to see some time with the Cubbies this year. So And I think he's in Major League spring training this spring as well in February and March. So we'll see how good Birdsell is. I mean, you've got a ton of Texas Tech guys over the last few years that have good opportunities to make Major League ball clubs. Cal Conley was a Major League spring training invite for the Braves. So him as a middle infielder in Atlanta would be big for Cal Conley, and him just being a switch hitter and having power on both sides of the plate helps too. Braxton Fulford, another guy that you can throw out there. Yeah.
Sure. All right. Chris Young, the Texas Rangers GM, and I just want to spend like 2 minutes on this.
Yeah.
Basically saying Bally screwed us. We don't have expendable cash right now. We're not signing Jordan Montgomery. We're not signing another starter. We're going to have to survive until all of the money we already spent is healthy again. 2 questions. Can they? Will they? Can they survive? Will they survive?
I mean, I think they will survive. And listen, I think that you have some good talent in your minor league system with the Jack Leiters of the world being there. Now, talk about a guy needing to be better at commanding pitches. He got away with a bunch of stuff in college because he threw so hard. He does have good off-speed stuff. He's got a good slider, a good curveball. The changeup probably needs a little bit more work, but Jack Leiter, I think, is going to be a guy that you'll see on the big league level this year without being able to sign a Jordan Montgomery, guys like that. You hope that Martin Perez can have a bounce back year and somewhat do something as a Ranger here in his final. He's probably down to his last couple seasons of his career. But I don't think that not being able to sign a Jordan Montgomery just kills you. Like, I don't think that, because, and obviously I think he was a big piece of you winning the World Series last year, but he wasn't a massive piece of getting you into first place for the whole year, basically, because you had him the last month of the season and he helped you.
Career-wise, he wasn't that guy. He's not that guy.
He's not that guy. He's not that guy. Yeah. He was good. He's the guy that'll be good for a month, and he was good for a month or 2 months at the end of the year. He was great.
He was incredible.
But can he be incredible? Like, you don't want to spend the money on him, and then he becomes the Jordan Montgomery, the same Jordan Montgomery that the Yankees released 2 years ago and DFA'd him, right? And he wasn't just this world beater in St. Louis last year either. He just became a good trade piece, and you needed another good lefty out in your starting rotation because Andrew Heaney wasn't going to do it. So, yeah, I don't know that it kills you to not get a guy like that. And look, if you're competing again and all that stuff happens, then you can go to the trade deadline and trade for another guy, because then you're not picking up all this salary that you would have been had you signed him for a full year, right? So I think it's a good move by the front office and Chris Young and all those guys. But obviously without the money, you can't sign anybody anyways. And Bally Sports is dragging their feet, and they have no money either. And just the whole thing's a cluster. So, I don't think it kills them. I think they still have the ability to do it again. You still have the good lineup. We'll see what arbitration says about Adolis Garcia, which I think the Rangers are going to end up having to pay him a little bit more than what they offered him. And
that came out.
I think it should have, actually, or it might be next week or this week that it actually comes out.
I think it was 7 or 8. I think it came out. Some basketball notes here in the middle of this.
Yeah, $7 million, $14 million on a 2-year contract, so $7 million a year.
Texas Tech back in the top 25. That happened since we started at 23.
I don't like being ranked in the top 25, Rob.
I do this late in the year. I don't like it early, but after you win some Big 12 games, I think you deserve it.
That's fair.
And 23 is not, 15 like a couple of weeks ago. I think that was too high.
Yeah.
But I think the committee likes ranked teams, and I think if you're ranked when the committee's watching late, it helps.
This how about week, Houston being number 2?
TCU at home at UCF for your next 2 games, by the way.
Kansas is still ranked number 9. They get beat by 30 in Lubbock, and they're still ranked number 9 in the country.
Yeah, that's wild. Missouri, by the way, did you see what happened in Missouri today?
No, I did not.
Missouri, big bad Power 2 Missouri, right? The mighty SEC. Can't touch the SEC, the Power 2, the Big Ten, the SEC. Nobody's leaving these jobs. Nobody wants to leave the SEC. The athletic departments are better than yours. We make more money than you. Guess who's the new Arizona AD is?
From Missouri.
Missouri's AD.
Arizona. And they don't even have the money that probably Missouri has.
They have zero money.
Yeah.
The last guy got fired because he put him in a hole. They have no money.
Big hole. Not just a little hole. Big hole.
And they poached Missouri. The Big Two. We're better than you. We're going to start our own league.
But our athletic directors will bounce to Arizona.
Oh, wait. We're going to hire a sitting head coach in the Big Ten to be an offensive coordinator in the Big Ten. They each your own. There are 5 teams. Just like in America, there's 5 corporations that own everything. Go look it up. There are 5 teams that own college football. They're better than you. Everyone else is the same.
Yep.
6 through 133. There's probably some more tiers, but 6 through 133, pretty even footing. And then you have Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State, and Michigan. And then interchangeable in some years, LSU,
Oklahoma, and Texas.
Oklahoma, Texas.
Yep. Yeah.
I wouldn't even put Oklahoma there anymore. Probably Texas.
Probably Texas.
Yeah. LSU up there sometimes.
4 years ago, it would have been Oklahoma because they were going to the playoff every now and then. But
yeah, I think Oklahoma fell off. I really do. We'll see.
Well, I mean, after Bob Stoops left, it was
historically Oklahoma. And then Notre Dame historically, but I really don't think Notre Dame even anymore either.
No.
All right.
And what's Michigan going to be without Jim Harbaugh? We'll see.
But they,
do they go back to the Brady Hoke eras?
Yeah.
And Rich Rod when they weren't good at all.
Whatever. All right.
8-win teams. How about did you see this? The Georgia State head coach bounces from Georgia State last week.
Before spring practice.
Yeah, the day before spring practice, bounces from Georgia State just to go be an offensive line coach and run game coordinator at South Carolina.
Tight ends coach.
There you go.
Not even offensive line.
Not even the offensive line.
The most useless coach. Sorry.
He went to South Carolina, right?
Cochran. Yeah, one of those schools. Yeah.
Yeah.
No offense to tight ends coaches out there, but
crazy.
Of all the coaches, the tight ends coach.
And his excuse was the reasoning he gave was that Georgia State doesn't have the funds to bring in guys or keep guys on campus that have a good year. They're always losing their best players to NIL, and that makes recruiting a lot harder because you can't keep guys that you really want. And so he was like, you know what? I'm sick of it. See ya. Bounced. Didn't even tell the team. Just bounced.
Tough.
That dude's a nut job, too. He is a nut job. Complete basket case.
Wild
days we live in. And people want to be mad at players for getting in the transfer portal. No.
Yeah.
No. If coaches can do that and bounce on a team without saying anything, at least a player has to inform a coach, hey man, look, I want to get my name in the transfer portal. Yeah. That's what has to happen. Coaches can just bounce.
Yeah.
Like Jed Fish didn't even tell his team he was leaving. He just, I'll take the Washington.
I think he had a 2-minute meeting.
He didn't tell him he was leaving, though. He just had a 2-minute meeting with him and told him that Washington is talking to me about their head coaching job. And then 2 hours later, he's in Seattle and taking the job. Crazy times we live in, Robbie. Crazy
times. All right. Final thing of the day. And I'll be quick. I said it on the Gauchos already. But my nephew Keegan Davis won a state championship this weekend. He lost to the same guy 3 times, including in a regional championship, and then beat that kid for a state title. Just an incredible weekend. Lots of celebrating, lots of congratulations, lots of, hey, we're so proud. But now he's up for AJ Athlete of the Week.
It should be AJ's Athlete of the Year candidate.
He should. he should murder this week. He's against a guy who scored a team high 13 in a win over Smyre. I guess that's in the playoffs, maybe. And then a guy who scored a goal to win in Abilene Cooper. I guess that's soccer. But winning the state championship, I mean, that's big time.
You should just automatically get it if you win a state championship,
About 10
especially with
minutes
the
ago-
record Keegan had this year.
About 10 minutes, yeah, he's 41-3. About 10 minutes ago, it was tied. We've put some space in between it now. And then vote for Madison Pena as well, who also won a state championship for Lubbock High. I don't want to pass her by either.
Yes, she was fantastic.
Fantastic as well. So
if you got to watch her highlight of her pin to win the match, just awesome. Awesome. And shout out to Lubbock Cooper for girls for winning the state championship as well as a team.
Yeah, what's crazy is
they have some talent on that roster.
It's just they're so deep.
They are.
They dominated. So they dominated regionals, and so they just had so many girls wrestling at state. I mean, it seemed like every time you looked up, the same with 6A men, the Allen team.
Yeah, Allen was. Of course, Allen has about 6,000 kids in their high school. So
every time you look over, Allen was wrestling a match. So.
Yeah, and our buddy in former Lubbock Christian High School alumni as well, Josh Rowan, his cousin, it was on the Cooper girls squad. Yeah,
so I believe she placed third.
Yep. So shout out to them and that family. And he's now related to me, married my cousin. So
there you go.
Josh is part of the fam. We got a bunch of Lubbock Christian Eagles on this
together. It all ties together.
Yep. So yeah, lots of, and for people that don't know a bunch about wrestling, like wrestling's pretty big here on the South Plains.
Yeah.
Estacado's teams have been good over the last few years. Lubbock High's girls and boys have been good. Lubbock High's boys won district and regionals, I believe, this year, right, Rob? Or they get runner-up in regionals, the team.
Lubbock High?
Yeah.
They won district. They did not win regionals. They were close.
Okay, so they were probably runner-up or third place. I couldn't remember which they were in regionals. But, I mean, you're talking about – and then Keegan, he's been fantastic his whole career.
Yeah. So he's the most winningest wrestler, just to brag a little bit, most winningest wrestler
Keep on doing it.
Of all time from Lubbock High with a rich history.
The oldest high school in Lubbock, like the only high school in Lubbock for a long time.
Wrestled varsity all 4 years.
Yeah.
It's 100 and I don't want to get this wrong. Basically 140 and 22 in his career.
So good.
And I think 12 of those came as a freshman.
Yeah.
So in his final 3 years, he was basically 120 and 10. Yep. Which is just unreal. A great run.
There's not a whole lot of freshmen that wrestle on the varsity level either.
He would have been a 3-time state qualifier, but he suplexed a kid as a sophomore.
That was your fault. You taught him that.
No, that's not my fault. It got disqualified. So
that was all those nights where y'all spend watching WWE and you were teaching him the suplex. Of course, now he can kick your butt. So
not even close. Then we have he's a freshman. He got second in district as a freshman. Oh, that's when he suplexed the kid. As a freshman, he suplexed the kid. He goes to state as a sophomore, gets on the podium, and then he wins it as a senior. Just incredible. Incredible. So there you go.
Yeah,
there you go.
Awesome.
Congratulations.
And he's turning that into a collegiate career as well at Wayland Baptist.
At Wayland Baptist, yeah, he'd be close. And the Wayland wrestling team, I think, just went through their conference matchup, and he's got some Lubbock High alums there at Wayland.
Yeah, and Wayland's got a rich history in wrestling as well. They've got their women's team. That young lady was an Olympian in the last summer games, and performed pretty well at the Olympics. So, and Keegan's a guy who, if he wanted to try it, he could probably try out for the U.S. Olympic team. We'll see.
We'll see. I think he's going to go. He's been wrestling. He was wrestling at 220 early in his career, and then they eliminated that weight class. So he cuts to 215.
And that's where he won at this year was 215, correct?
And they don't have that weight class in college.
No.
So he's either going to have to bulk to 285
or stay down
or cut to, I think it's 190.
Ooh.
He's gonna be a lean machine. If
Probably be easier to cut to 190 than get up to 285. That's for sure.
yeah, because you really only would get up to 240 maybe as a freshman. You get
Yeah.
right around those
Yeah.
285s are
They're big boys. How
they're
about that? I
different.
was able to watch the heavyweight final match for UIL in the 6A division.
Yeah,
Those
Jake
two
Henry.
dudes. Those two dudes.
You know who that was?
No,
Mark Henry, the world's strongest man, his son.
his son. Hey, I can see it.
In
He's
the
a
semis,
big man.
he wrestled a kid, and their combined record was 76-0 in the semis.
Yeah.
And then he beat him in overtime, double or triple overtime. It's crazy.
Wow.
And then there's a lot of overtime matches. And then you go to the next. So how it's set up, it's just if you've never been to a wrestling tournament like this, the state championship, there's 10 mats going at a time. And 6A's on one side, 5A's on the other. And then you go down to the finals. When you get to the finals, they rip up all the mats and then put down 4 mats in the middle of the floor, extend the stands out to pretty close to the mat so everybody rushes down. And there's 4 mats going at one time. So it's all the women's, girls, 5A mats, 1, 2, 3, 4 weight classes up, 6A on the outside, and then 5A, 6A of the boys all at once. So they go one weight class and they do a podium. They do one weight class and they do a podium. So there's a lot of sitting around. The lights are off. The spotlights are on the mats.
And they do a big parade before that.
They do a parade. It's really cool. They read everybody's name and they go out and shake hands one at a time. Yeah. It's just a really cool experience. If you're in the Houston area in late February, it's fun to check out. Like I said, last year we just sat and watched a day because Keegan was out, but it's fun.
Well, and also Keegan is now the 3rd straight generation in your family to win a state championship.
That's true.
That's pretty cool.
That's true.
Because Pops was in Lovington. They won a state championship when he was in high school, I believe, right?
I don't know if they did.
At least I thought that was correct.
He coached one.
Yeah. He coached the state championship that you and I both won.
Yeah, and then I also won state champion duet acting. So
that's right.
I don't know.
You want to talk about the best one-act play actor in the world, Rob Bro. And people could probably feel that. Like people probably understand that you were probably pretty good at that. If you missed all the, I wish we had videos that we could show of Rob Bro on the one-act play stage.
I think I do.
It was great. It was phenomenal.
I would burn it though before we got it back out. The Mr. Beaver, Legends of Narnia or whatever.
So good.
That was not good.
That was so good.
All right, I do think though that's all we have. You ready?
Yeah. You want to score predict TCU Texas Tech tomorrow?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
76-69.
Texas Tech?
Yes. You gonna go against them again? That's been your bag.
I don't know, man, because I feel like is Warren Washington playing tomorrow? Do we know?
We don't. That would affect my score for sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna act like Warren Washington's not playing, and Texas Tech loses in a tough one just because of that. 75-71. TCU hits a couple free throws late to wrap it up. I don't like that score. I don't like that TCU is going to win in Lubbock. But if Warren Washington doesn't play, it's going to be tough. With as long and physical and athletic as TCU is, it's going to be tough without Warren Washington. Just really will be.
Yeah. Really tough. Really tough.
Really tough. Really tough.
All right.
It's just a mismatch.
We will see you Wednesday.
Yeah. Peace.